Welcome to Unfuck Your Life and Relationships with your host, Anita Astley, psychotherapist and author. This is a podcast like no other. Sit forward, listen in, and get ready to get unfucked from the inside out. Unfuck your life!
Hey guys, welcome to Unfuck Your Life and Relationships. I'm your host, Anita Astley, psychotherapist of over 25 years and published author of a book called Unfuck Your Life and Relationships. You can find that on Amazon, Simon & Schuster, Barnes & Noble. Just Google the title if you're interested and you will guaranteed come across my book. If you are a new listener to the podcast, welcome, welcome, welcome. On this podcast, we talk about all things relational and mental health. If our mental health is not good, guys, we are not going to be well overall. That is a fact. I've worked with people for such a long time that sometimes when they come into my office and they tell me their story, they tell me their narrative, and then they tell me they don't know why they're not doing too well. Well, I'm like, okay, I've just listened to how some of your relationships are not going well, and then you wonder why you're not doing well. The two are linked. They're not two separate things, guys. Again, our mental health hinges on the quality of our relationship. Now, I can go on about that forever, but I just want to say on this show, we keep it raw, we keep it real. We talk about all kinds of stuff, including sex, the hardest thing to talk about for people, and money, one of the other hardest things to talk about for people. But we need to be able to talk about those things and everything else for our relationship to be successful. If we can't talk openly and honestly, if we can't communicate well, guess what? It's going to be difficult to have healthy relationships in our life, starting with the one we have with ourselves. Chapter 1 of my book, self-awareness. I'm going to do a whole other podcast on that. But today, what I'm going to talk to you about, pretty relevant and topical. The election is just around the corner. And lots of people, lots of couples experiencing a lot of stress. You know, if you tuned into my other podcast, I talked about this, election anxiety. But today we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on something that's a little bit deeper, but it can manifest and has, if I'm thinking about some of the sessions I've had last couple of months and also some of the comments that I've received on my Instagram page. If you guys want to follow me, I am Ask Anita Astley on Instagram. That is the place that I am most active. The questions are about, well, there's a theme here related to the election, but also how people should be in relationships to optimize not only their mental health alone, but also of the coupleship. Anita, I'm voting for Trump and my partner is voting for Kamala. This has created a lot of friction in people's lives. And I got to tell you, guys, that's okay. There are relationships that can work when you have different views about politics. It can. The root really of something like that is how do we maintain individuality within a coupleship? If you respect your partner as an individual thinker, and you recognize that you're not them and they're not you, you will be able to work that out. I don't have to think like my partner. I don't have to feel like my partner because I'm not my partner. Two identities exist in a relationship. However, I get it when some people struggle with this because society promotes coupleship as this fusion of people, as this merger of people, this oneness that should take place. That's a bunch of bullshit that is setting us up for failure. No, when we are with someone, we don't become that person. We shouldn't even try to become that person, and they shouldn't do that. But guess what? Slowly over time, that can happen if we are not cognizant and if we buy into the bullshit about this oneness, this merger, and romanticize all of that. And if we think, oh no, I can't be myself in this because I'm supposed to be part of this oneness. Union, yes, but not a oneness, okay? We can and we should try to maintain our individual sense of self, our identity within a coupleship. And yes, it is possible, and this should be something that you aspire to have in your relationship. In a relationship, listen up, guys, There are two identities. There's yours and then there's your partner's. And of course, the coupleship has an identity. That is what we should all be striving for. But I know at the beginning of a relationship, most of us, when we're in the honeymoon phase and we want to impress and we kind of just want to don't create any conflict. We want to go along with everything, and whatever our partner wants to do, we go along with and we follow and we do. That's great. But as you know, all honeymoons come to an end. And that's where the mature love kicks in. And that's where we should really be able to assert ourselves without too much difficulty. Okay? I am going to give you 10 tips today that will help you to maintain a sense of individuality in your relationship. First, before I get into the 10 tips, I'm going to say to you, it is something that you should strive for. If you feel guilty about being able to assert yourself in the relationship and be yourself, it is a red flag. It's okay though. I know if you're listening out there and you feel like, well, oh my God, I've fallen a prey to that. That's exactly what I do. I just kind of go along with it. It's okay. You can reset today. You can reset tomorrow, as long as you know that's what you're doing and that needs to change. And it's because it's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for your partner. It is not healthy for the relationship. Listen up. Maintaining individuality in a relationship is key to keeping a healthy balance between personal growth and shared experiences. Here are 10 tips to help you maintain your individuality in a coupleship. Number 1, prioritize personal interests. Guys, it's okay to continue pursuing your hobbies, activities that you enjoy independently outside of this relationship. This keeps your sense of self intact. Do you know how many times I listen to couples, I listen to people who are in relationships, and all of a sudden they let go of all the things that they enjoyed doing? That can only last so long because you're going to miss those things and you might end up resenting your partner for not doing them. But it's not their fault that you gave them up. Don't give them up. Prioritize your personal interests. Of course, you can share in something they like and they should share in something you like. But at the end of the day, do not give that up, because if you give that up, you're giving a part of yourself up. And we don't want to do that. We want your sense of self, to stay intact. Number 2, set boundaries. This is a chapter in my book. Boundaries are key in maintaining healthy relationships. Again, boundaries to me are like force fields. They protect us, but they also protect the relationship. Healthy boundaries ensure that both partners maintain space for themselves, preventing feelings of suffocation or dependency. I hear that so often, but I also hear often is, I don't need any boundaries. I'm very easygoing. Everything is really cool. Bullshit. You need them, you should have them, and you should want them. Boundaries are rules of engagement, and they also help keep your sense of self, your identity intact in a coupleship. I can't emphasize that enough. Number 3, this is a hard one because I know people are like, well, what does that really mean? Because if I knew how to do this, my relationship overall will be better. Of course, another chapter in my book, and I continue to talk about this, and I will throughout all my podcasts and episodes and so forth. Communicate openly. Be honest with your partner about your needs for personal time and growth. Open communication, guys, fosters respect for individuality. In addition to keeping the healthy relationship going with your partner, if you only say what you think your partner wants to hear, if you only share what you think they want to hear about your feelings, that's not going to last. That is short-term. Short-term gain, long-term loss. Say what you really think. Say what you really feel respectfully. I know we can talk about this forever on and because how do you do that? How do you retrain yourself? How do you learn how to communicate in an effective way? Well, you can pick up my book and you can read all about it. But stay tuned because I continue to do episodes on that particular topic all the time. Because I do believe if you can't talk about it, you can't fix it. Number 4, keep friendships alive. Guys, stay connected with your friends and social circle outside of the relationship. It is healthy. It is normal. It is what you should be doing. Socializing with others helps maintain a sense of independence. You and I both, all of us, know people who let go of their friendships when they are in a relationship with somebody else, right? They kind of, you lose them. They're like, where did they go? Where are they? And they come back, months later, maybe a year later when it didn't work out or they have a problem. And you end up feeling like, wait a minute, I don't want you back. You've been dissing us, ignoring us. And now you want to come back because you're kind of having difficulties in your relationship. Not cool. You need to keep that circle going. It's important for your mental health to have that. And I'll tell you, because not one person can fulfill all your needs and expectations. I don't care if it's your husband, boyfriend, girl, whoever it is, okay? We need more than one person in our life to meet our needs and expectations. It also takes a load off the other person. If I'm in a relationship with somebody and they don't have any friends, nobody else that they go to, I'm going to feel the burden of that. Of course, I want to be there for them. But on the other hand, I'm like, okay, sometimes it's a little bit too much. Maybe you need to go talk to your best friend about it or your girlfriend. And if you don't have that, that's going to create conflict. Again, guys, keep that friendship circle alive. Pay attention to them. Give them your time. Give them your energy. That doesn't mean that you can't put everything, other parts into your romantic relationship. Number 5, pursue separate goals. While you may have shared goals as a couple, it's important to have personal ambitions and projects you work on independently. Think about some of the things you were doing before you met this person and ask yourself, did I give them up? Am I still pursuing them? Or if I'm not pursuing that, maybe I want to pursue something else. It's great to have goals as a couple, and you should, but it's also important to have goals yourself. You need to grow as an individual. And in order to maintain your identity, you need to do things that are just for you, your separate goals. Whether it's going back to school, whether you enjoy reading and your partner doesn't, it's okay to do that. You need to have some goals. Individual goals are important in maintaining your sense of individuality, because that's what we want, guys. We want to retain our sense of individuality, our identity while being in a relationship. One can't exist with the other and should. You don't have to give up your sense of self to be with that person. And if you feel that you do, and they're kind of, I always think that people can't make you. You have to actually unconsciously or consciously agree to it. And if you are, red flag, it's a problem. You need to get some help, and that's okay. Number 7, develop self-awareness. Okay. Let me backtrack a bit. I missed one. Sorry, guys. I have all of these in order, and sometimes I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It's okay. They're all important. Number 6, I skipped over number 6, which is really important. Respect each other's space. Physical space. We don't need to be in each other's back pocket. Some people are threatened by this, that if their person is not sitting next to them all the time, if they're not with them all the time, that somehow they don't love them. No, we all need to have our space. Encourage your partner to have their own time and space as well, which helps foster mutual respect for individuality. I want to have my space, but I also want to encourage my partner to have their own space. That's normal and that's healthy for a relationship. Okay, getting to number 7, develop self-awareness. Guys, we hear this term often, and what does it really mean? Chapter 1 of my book. It is where everything starts. We have to look from the inside out. Take time for self-reflection to understand your values, your beliefs, and your needs and expectation. This self-awareness helps you maintain your identity in a relationship. Everything, guys, starts with self-awareness. So no matter what I talk about, that's always going to be there, self-awareness. We have to know our true selves. And of course, that changes over time. Of course, the core of ourselves, I believe, doesn't change, but we learn more and more about ourselves as we experience life and life happens to us. We change over time, but the key is to keep being aware of our changes for good and for bad. Okay, moving on. Number 8, avoid losing yourself in the relationship. How many times have you guys seen this or experienced this yourself? I see it all the time. In my friend group, I've seen it, I'm 55, so years of life, but also I see it all the time in my patients who one person gives up their sense of self for the other person. They merge into their partner's identity. And of course, over time, that may have worked during the honeymoon phase, but over time, it is very unhealthy and it becomes a very dysfunctional way of operating in a relationship for both people, because the other person feels a burden of that person always wanting to do and be with them all the time, when the other person feels like, okay, you're abandoning me. I was all about you and now you're not all about me. Well, that's not healthy. Stay true to who you are. Don't compromise too much on your personal preferences or identity just to please your partner or stay in the relationship. And let me share a story here with you guys, okay? I'm just reminded of a couple that I worked with. And you might, when you're listening to this, think, oh, that's so benign. It's really not. Stay with me here, okay? Bear with me. Working with a couple, they've been married for about 15 years, and they're divorcing, and that should happen because it's not a very healthy relationship, and it wasn't healthy for a long time. One of the stories that comes to my mind, the woman shared with me, is she started to realize that, for years, when they would go out for pizza, they both love pizza, she would order whatever he liked. And then when the pizza would arrive, she would pick off all the things that she didn't like. And you might be thinking, well, Anita, what does it matter? That's such a benign story. It is not benign. What it does is over time, this really was a representation and a symptom of her giving up herself. He would never do that. He would never order whatever she liked and he'd be the one picking the stuff off. It was always one-sided. She basically lost herself in the relationship. She just acquiesced to everything that he wanted to do. And that story is just an example of someone who has done that, and they're not respecting themselves. They're not respecting what they like, And we all need to do that in order to maintain our sense of self in the relationship, and just a certain level of respect for our sense of self. In a healthy pattern would be that, one time I will order the pizza that I like with all the stuff on it, and then you pick it off. But the next time we'll do it the other way around to show that I respect your needs and expectations because you respect mine, and it's mutual and it's healthy. Neither one of us in that dynamic need to give up what we expect and what we need. So although on the surface it may seem like a very benign story, it's actually not. Think about it. And I want you to ask yourself, do you do that for your partner all the time, most of the time, or some of the time? It should be some of the time. And some of the time, they should do that for us. Again, avoid losing yourself in the relationship. It's a slippery slope. Okay. Number 9, guys, cultivate confidence. What does that mean? Having confidence in your individuality helps you maintain independence without feeling threatened by closeness in the relationship. Closeness in the relationship. We need to cultivate and nurture and develop our sense of confidence. And this happens over time, and it's okay. Sometimes we might feel more confident. Sometimes we might feel less confident, but it's important to nurture and feed that without thinking always of our partner. Think of yourself, think of your identity, think of your individuality and what you need to maintain that, to cultivate that. And also think of your partner, what they might need to cultivate that in their own sense of self. Relationships, guys, work healthy when we can openly communicate about, a lot of these things that I'm talking about. It all breaks down when we can't, and then we feel we are losing ourselves again in the relationship. Okay, number 10, balance togetherness and solitude. This is very difficult for some people who have a past where solitude has meant that there's a shut off, there's a cutoff. It doesn't have to mean that, guys. Spend quality time with your partner, but also schedule time for solitude or independent activities and just being able to be by yourself, which helps, I think, refresh your connection with yourself, but also with your partner. Now, these things that I've talked about, the 10 tips, you guys can implement them today in your relationship. If you feel like, oh, you're kind of on that slippery slope, it's okay. Press the reset button today and think about the 10 things that I've shared with you. But more than think about them, put them into action. Even if you just take one a week, right? One a week, and then you're going to be done with 10 of them. If this is threatening to your partner, then that's a red flag. And maybe even talk to your partner, not even maybe, talk to your partner about what you're thinking and feeling about yourself, about your sense of individuality in the coupleship. This balance of connection and independence ensures that both of you can thrive personally while growing together. The problem usually lies is when people feel like if you grow and I grow in one direction, we are growing apart. Not necessarily. We all grow and we all need to grow. We need to grow as individuals and we need to grow as a couple. In a healthy relationships, two identities exist and they should coexist in harmony, okay? We do not need to fuse and merge with our partner. That is very unhealthy. So I hope those tips will help you guys maintain a sense of individuality in your relationship. And I hope that, if you're in a household where you're divided in politics, your wife is voting for Kamala and you're voting for Trump, it's okay. She's allowed to have her opinion and vote the way she wants, and you're allowed to have yours the way that you want. It doesn't have to compromise the relationship. What it can do is actually bring you closer together and solidify your relationship in the sense that you have respect for her, she has respect for you, and you come together. And even greater, if you have children, guess what? You're modeling to them that, hey guys, we can have a very different opinion on things and we can still get along. Your mom has her own identity. I have my own identity. And then we come together as a couple with our identities and also as a family. Think about that, guys. So much to do, but I want to tell you in each episode, I'm going to give you some concrete tips that you can take away from the show and put into action. Because as you know, well, unless you're new to the show, that we have to do more than just think about the changes. We have to make them. We have to make them in our lives because in order to create change, action is required. It's not just all about thinking and talking. It's about doing. That's it for today, guys. Keep me posted. Send me messages on my Instagram page, Ask Anita Astley. And send me some topic ideas. You guys want to talk about some stuff? I'm open to it. Whatever it is you want to talk about, I'll bring my expertise to the table, but also my life experiences. And if you're interested in buying the book, thank you so much for supporting Unfuck Your Life and Relationships. You can buy it on Barnes & Noble. You can buy it on Simon & Schuster, and you can buy it on Amazon. And if you're thinking about hosting a book club and you're going to bring my book to your book club, thank you very much appreciate that. Thank you. I will bring the bubbly, I will bring the champagne, and I will talk about whatever issue that's in the book that you want to talk about, and let's host a party. Unfuck Your Life and Relationships. I'm your host, Anita Astley. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I'll see you next time on Unfuck Your Life and Relationships.